The tranquility of the spaceport, nestled in the verdant outskirts of the Emperor's palace on Drydus, was shattered in an instant. An alarm, one that had never before been sounded, cut through the night, its piercing wail a harbinger of unthinkable peril. Pilot Sears, nestled within the Spartan confines of his quarters within the barracks adjacent to the spaceport, was jerked from sleep by the clamor. The alarm's tone, reserved for the direst of circumstances, sent a chill coursing through his veins, an attack on Emperor Julius Franco himself. As the initial shock of the alarm subsided, Sears leapt into action with the ingrained precision of a seasoned gunship operator. Around him, the spaceport erupted into a frenzy of activity. Veterans and loyalists to the Emperor, men and women who had devoted their lives to the service of the Drydus Confederation, scrambled to respond to the unprecedented threat. The air was thick with urgency, the night suddenly awash with the glow of running lights and the roar of engines coming to life. Sears dressed hurriedly, his movements automatic as he donned his flight suit, the fabric familiar against his skin. The camaraderie of the barracks, usually a place of shared jokes and stories, was replaced by a solemn determination as each pilot and crew member prepared for what lay ahead. There was no need for words. The alarm had said all that was needed. Making his way to the hangar, Sears was met with a scene of controlled chaos. Gunships, sleek and deadly, were being prepped for launch at an unprecedented pace. Crews worked with a fervent intensity, loading munitions and performing pre-flight checks with a practiced efficiency that spoke of years of training and preparation. Sears reached his own gunship, the Lucky Little Lad, its hull gleaming under the hangar lights. His crew, already aboard, acknowledged his arrival with nods of grim resolve. Climbing into the cockpit, Sears felt the weight of the moment settle upon him. The Lucky Little Lad was more than just a vessel of war tonight. It was a guardian of the Empire, a protector of its sovereign. As the hangar doors opened, revealing the dark expanse of the night sky, Sears guided the Lucky Little Lad out onto the launch pad. The engines roared to life, a thunderous sound that drowned out the alarm still echoing through the spaceport. Around him, dozens of other gunships took to the air, a swarm of vengeful spirits ready to defend their emperor at all costs. The flight to the palace was short, the distance covered in mere minutes, but to Sears, it felt like an eternity. Below, the capital of Drydus spread out, its lights a stark contrast to the darkness above. And there, at the heart of it all, was the Emperor's palace, already under siege, the night sky around it alight with the flashes of gunfire and explosions. Sears steeled himself as the Lucky Little Lad and its sister ships entered the fray. This was no ordinary mission. It was a battle for the soul of the Confederation, a fight to protect its most revered figure from an unimaginable threat. As the Lucky Little Lad swooped down towards the palace, its guns ready to unleash their fury, Sears knew that the night ahead would test them all, demanding every ounce of skill and courage they possessed. The battle for the palace had begun, and with it, a chapter in the history of the Drydus Confederation that none would soon forget. Under the pale glow of Drydus's twin moons, the spaceport transformed into a nexus of urgent preparation and resolve. The once tranquil night was now alive with the hustle of dozens of gunships gearing up for a sortie of unparalleled importance. Amidst this whirlwind of activity, Sears and his crew aboard the Lucky Little Lad embodied the calm at the eye of the storm, their movements measured and deliberate as they readied their vessel for the battle that lay ahead. The gunship, sleek and menacing even at rest, was a testament to the Confederation's military prowess. Its hull, marked by the scars of previous engagements, gleamed under the moonlight, a silent witness to the trials its crew had faced together. Tonight it would once again be called upon to defend not just the physical heart of the Empire, but its soul. Sears moved through the pre-launch checklist with a focus that belied the turmoil churning within him. Each system check, each confirmation from his crew, was a step closer to the confrontation awaiting them. His hands, steady on the controls, were those of a man who had faced the abyss of space combat and emerged tempered by the experience. Around them, the spaceport buzzed with a frenetic energy. Ground crews raced against time, loading munitions and performing last-minute diagnostics on the assembled gunships. The air was filled with the scent of ionized engines and the low rumble of thrusters coming to life, a symphony of anticipation for the battle to come. As the lucky little lad roared to life, its engines igniting with a brilliant flare, Sears felt the weight of their mission settle upon his shoulders. This was more than a call to arms, it was a summons to stand as guardians of the Empire's highest ideals, to protect the very fabric of their civilization against an assault that threatened to unravel it. The gunship lifted off, its departure from the spaceport a signal to the rest of the fleet. One by one, the other vessels joined the lucky little lad, forming a formidable armada against the backdrop of the night sky. Sears, leading the charge, piloted his craft with a precision born of years at the helm, each maneuver a testament to his skill and dedication. The spaceport, now empty of its defenders, stood silent under the moonlight, a stark reminder of the enormity of the task at hand. Ahead, the darkness of space awaited, a canvas upon which the night's events would be etched in fire and determination. As the gunships hurtled through the night, Sears allowed himself a moment of reflection. The world below, with its cities and citizens, depended on the outcome of the battle to come. The Emperor, a figure of unity and strength, was a symbol of the Empire's enduring spirit, now vulnerable to forces that sought to extinguish its light. But in this moment of quiet before the storm, Sears found a resolute calm. His crew, veterans of the Skye, were more than just soldiers, they were brothers and sisters in arms, bound by a shared commitment to something greater than themselves. Together they flew towards destiny, their resolve unshaken, their hearts beating as one with the Empire they vowed to protect. The night sky, once a peaceful blanket over Drydus, now bore the gunships as harbingers of defiance. The lucky little lad and its squadron, silhouetted against the moons, were a promise, a vow that the Confederation would stand resilient against any who dared threaten its sovereignty. As the gunship fleet, led by the lucky little lad under the command of Sears, approached the Emperor's palace, the scale of the conflict below became starkly apparent. The grandeur of the palace, usually a symbol of the Drydus Confederation's enduring strength and unity, was now obscured by the smoke and fire of battle. The night sky, once serene and starlit, was torn asunder by the flashes of weaponry and explosions, painting a dire portrait of siege and resistance. Sears, his eyes narrowed against the glare of the conflict below, steered the lucky little lad into the heart of the battle. The palace's defenders, loyalists to Emperor Julius Franco, were embroiled in a desperate stand against the assailants, their figures barely discernible among the chaos that enveloped the grounds. With a veteran's instinct, Sears and his crew launched into action. The lucky little lad, along with the rest of the gunship fleet, dove into the fray, their presence a sudden and formidable force against the attackers. The gunships, designed for both agility and destructive capability, became instruments of precision and wrath. From their vantage in the sky, they unleashed a barrage of fire upon the enemy, guided by the strategic needs of the ground forces. The tide of the battle began to turn under the gunship's relentless assault. Enemy positions, once formidable, were systematically dismantled by the fleet's precision strikes. The roar of the gunship's engines was a clarion call of defiance, echoing the determination of the palace's defenders. Sears, his focus unwavering, piloted the lucky little lad through the maelstrom, targeting key enemy concentrations with ruthless efficiency. Each strike was a blow against the forces that dared threaten the heart of the Confederation. Below, the beleaguered defenders of the palace drew new strength from the support raining down from above. With the gunship's aid, they pressed forward, reclaiming ground lost in the initial onslaught and pushing the assailants back. The battlefield, once a tableau of despair, now resounded with the resurgence of hope and the relentless spirit of the Empire's loyal sons and daughters. Amidst the chaos, the synergy between the air support and ground forces was palpable. The gunships, swooping low to deliver their payloads before ascending back into the night, were like avenging spirits, their actions synchronized with the movements of the troops below. Together they formed a cohesive unit of attack and defense, a testament to the training and dedication that defined the Drydus Confederation's military. As the night wore on, the enemy's resolve began to waver under the sustained assault. The once coordinated attack on the palace disintegrated into pockets of resistance, each being systematically eradicated by the combined might of the gunships and ground forces. The palace, while scarred by the battle, stood resilient, a beacon of the Confederation's indomitable will. As dawn approached, the last of the attackers were routed, their attempt to seize the Emperor's palace thwarted by the valiant efforts of Sears and his fellow pilots, alongside the brave defenders on the ground. The palace grounds, now quiet but for the crackling of fires and the distant moans of the wounded, bore witness to the night's fierce battle. Sears, surveying the aftermath from the cockpit of the lucky little lad, felt a solemn pride in their victory. The gunships had played a pivotal role in turning the tide, their intervention key to the defense of the palace. Yet the cost was evident in the devastation that lay below, a stark reminder of the price paid to protect the empire and its leader. The battle for the palace, while a victory for the Drydus Confederation, was but one encounter in the ongoing struggle for peace and stability. Sears and his crew, as they prepared to land in the palace's landing zone, knew that their actions this night would be remembered as a testament to their loyalty and courage in the face of adversity. As the battle for the Emperor's palace began to tilt in favor of the Drydus Confederation, the attackers, desperate to regain their lost momentum, unleashed a new threat into the already chaotic fray. Anti-air missiles, previously unseen in the night's engagement, streaked into the sky, their trails glowing ominously against the backdrop of the beleaguered palace. The gunship fleet, momentarily caught off guard by the sudden escalation, found themselves in a perilous dance with death. Sears, his instincts honed by countless hours in the cockpit, reacted with a swiftness that defied the lucky little lad's size. He twisted the controls, sending the gunship weaving through the barrage of incoming missiles. The sky around them became a web of deadly intent, each missile a potential end to their valiant efforts. The cockpit was filled with the tense focus of the crew, their collective breaths held as they navigated the onslaught. Despite Sears's expert maneuvering, not all were so fortunate. A gunship to their port side, caught in the blast radius of a missile, erupted in a fiery conflagration, its remnants spiraling toward the ground below. The loss struck Sears with a cold fist, the reality of air combat's unforgiving nature laid bare before him. These were not faceless pilots, they were comrades, friends who had shared in the camaraderie of the fleet, now lost to the night. As the battle raged on, the gunship pilots adjusted their tactics, their movements becoming even more unpredictable, weaving a complex pattern through the enemy's attempts to bring them down. The lucky little lad, like a specter, seemed to defy the odds, dodging missile after missile, a testament to Sears's unparalleled skill and the trust he placed in his crew. The countermeasures deployed, flares and electronic warfare, became a light show of survival, dazzling in their intensity but born from a necessity to live through the night. The pilots, a brotherhood of the skies, communicated through quick bursts of comms, their voices a mixture of determination and the strain of continuous combat. Sears, as he guided the lucky little lad through one final evasive maneuver, felt a grim satisfaction in their survival and success in protecting the ground forces below. Yet the cost of their victory was never far from his thoughts, a somber reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of duty and loyalty. The battle for the skies, a critical component of the night's conflict, had proven once again the valor of those who fought under the banner of the Drydus Confederation. In the wake of the harrowing missile attack, the skies above the Emperor's palace gradually cleared of immediate danger, the last of the anti-air threats neutralized by the relentless efforts of the ground forces. Their success allowed Sears and the remaining gunships in the fleet to reclaim dominance over the airspace, a hard-won reprieve that brought with it the responsibility to secure the palace's safety as the conflict neared its end. As the intensity of the battle waned, the lucky little lad and its sister ships methodically swept the area, their sensors probing for any sign of lingering hostility. The night, once filled with the ceaseless cacophony of combat, slowly surrendered to a quieter, more somber atmosphere. The pilots, their nerves stretched taut by hours of vigilance, allowed themselves a moment of cautious relief, the adrenaline that had fueled their actions gradually ebbing away. Sears, his focus unwavering, piloted the lucky little lad through its final patrols. The approaching dawn painted the horizon with the first hints of light, a symbolic end to the night's darkness and the ordeal it had brought. Below them, the palace stood resilient, its defenses intact thanks to the combined efforts of air and ground forces. The sight of it, bathed in the early morning light, was a testament to the loyalty and bravery of those who had defended it. Yet the victory was not without cost. As the lucky little lad flew over the palace grounds, the scars of battle were evident. Craters marred the landscape, and the remnants of both attacker and defender alike lay scattered across the area, a solemn reminder of the price paid for the palace's security. The gunships, too, bore the marks of the night's engagement, their hulls pitted and scored from enemy fire. In the silence before dawn, Sears and his crew took a moment to honor the fallen. The pilots who had not returned from the battle, the ground forces who had held the line against overwhelming odds, each had played a crucial role in the night's defense. Their sacrifice was the foundation upon which the victory was built, a debt of honor that those who survived would carry forward. As the first light of daybreak illuminated the lucky little lad, the tension that had gripped Sears began to dissolve, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude and reflection. They had faced the unthinkable, an assault on the Emperor himself, and had emerged victorious through unity and determination. The battle for the palace, while won, was a stark reminder of the threats that lay beyond the safety of its walls. With the immediate danger past, Sears and the gunship fleet received the order to return to base. The lucky little lad made its way back to the spaceport, the journey marked by the quiet camaraderie of the crew, their shared experience forging an unspoken bond. The palace, now secure in the light of dawn, stood as a beacon of the Confederation's resilience, a symbol of the enduring strength that would see them through the challenges ahead. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a soft light on the war-torn landscape of the palace grounds, the fleet of gunships, led by the lucky little lad, began their descent towards the landing zone. The night's events had left their mark on both the pilots and their vessels, but as they touched down on the palace tarmac, a sense of accomplishment permeated the weary atmosphere. Emerging from the lucky little lad, Sears and his crew were met with a sight that none had expected. Emperor Julius Franco himself stood waiting to greet them, his presence a striking symbol of resilience and unyielding strength. The emperor, though surrounded by the evidence of an attempted siege, appeared undiminished, his bearing regal and his gaze filled with an unwavering resolve. The gratitude in the emperor's voice was palpable as he addressed the pilots, each word imbued with the weight of the night's ordeal. Your bravery and skill have preserved not just this palace, but the very heart of our Confederation, he declared, his gaze sweeping across the faces of those who had flown in defense of their empire. You have proven yourselves true guardians of our civilization, heroes who have risen in its darkest hour. The pilots, standing before their emperor, felt the exhaustion of the night's battle lift momentarily, replaced by a profound sense of pride. To be hailed as heroes by the emperor himself was an honor beyond measure, a recognition of their sacrifice and valor that would be etched into the annals of the Confederation's history. Sears, moved by the emperor's words, felt a deep connection to the cause he had fought for. The battle for the palace had been more than a military engagement. It had been a testament to the spirit of the Drydus Confederation, a demonstration of the lengths to which its people would go to protect their leader and their way of life. As the ceremony concluded, the emperor took a moment to speak personally with Sears and the other pilots, expressing his gratitude and acknowledging the loss of those who had not returned. The shared experience of the night's conflict and the recognition of their efforts by the emperor forged a bond between them, a shared understanding of the sacrifices required to maintain the peace and security of their empire. The palace landing zone, once a silent witness to the approach of danger, now bore witness to the unity and strength of the Drydus Confederation. As the pilots prepared to depart, their spirits buoyed by the Emperor's gratitude, they knew that their actions had safeguarded not just a palace, but the ideals and future of their civilization. In the aftermath of the night's harrowing defense, the imperial palace transformed from a besieged stronghold to a center of unwavering resolve and strategic planning. The sun's first rays, filtering through the palace's grand windows, illuminated a scene of intense deliberation. At the heart of this focused activity stood Emperor Julius Franco, surrounded by his most trusted advisors and military leaders. Despite the previous night's attempts on his life, the Emperor's spirit was unbroken, his mind set on the future security of the Drydus Confederation. It was within this atmosphere of determination that Sears and the gunship fleet pilots were summoned once more to the Emperor's presence. As they assembled in the palace's ornate strategy room, the gravity of the moment was palpable. Emperor Franco, addressing the pilots directly, unveiled a new mission of critical importance, a mission that underscored the trust he placed in these defenders of the realm. "The actions of our enemies have revealed vulnerabilities we cannot ignore," the Emperor began, his voice resolute. "Until we apprehend those responsible for this attack, we must ensure the continuity of our governance and the protection of our people." He paused, allowing his gaze to meet those of Sears and his fellow pilots. "This is why I am entrusting you with a mission of utmost secrecy and importance." The Emperor detailed the strategic significance of a secure bunker complex, located within the rugged terrain overlooking the capital city. This facility, designed to withstand any form of assault, served as the ultimate bastion of safety for the Confederation's leadership in times of crisis. "Your task," the Emperor continued, "is to escort my shuttle to this bunker complex, ensuring our operational security and the continuity of our government." The pilots listened intently, the weight of the assignment settling upon them. The Emperor's decision to relocate, albeit temporarily, was a measure of the situation's severity, but also of the confidence he had in the pilots before him. "Your actions last night have shown me that there are no others more capable of protecting the heart of our empire," Franco affirmed, his words imbuing the mission with a profound sense of duty and honor. Sears, accepting the charge, felt a deep sense of responsibility. The mission was not just about escorting a shuttle, it was about safeguarding the future of the Drydus Confederation during its most vulnerable hours. The trust placed in him and his crew was a testament to their bravery and skill, qualities that had been proven under the direst circumstances. As the meeting concluded, the pilots prepared to embark on their new mission. The bunker complex, a symbol of the Confederation's foresight and resilience, awaited them. The journey there would be fraught with the unknown, as the enemy's reach and capabilities had proven unpredictable. Yet Sears and his fellow pilots were undeterred, their resolve strengthened by the Emperor's trust and the critical nature of their task. The journey from the Imperial Palace to the bunker complex was a solemn flight, conducted under the watchful eyes of Drydus's twin moons, now slowly yielding to the morning sun. As the lucky little lad and the accompanying gunship fleet escorted the Emperor's shuttle through the skies, Sears found himself reflecting on the whirlwind of events that had transpired. Below them, the capital city stretched out, its early morning calm belying the chaos that had gripped it only hours before. The marks of battle were visible even from their altitude, a stark reminder of how close they had come to catastrophe. The Emperor's shuttle, a sleek vessel emblematic of the Drydus Confederation's technological prowess, glided through the air with an elegance that belied the urgency of its mission. Sears, leading the escort, felt the weight of their cargo, not just the leader of their civilization, but the symbol of their collective identity and resolve. The tension that had accompanied the night's battle remained, a constant companion that kept the pilots on edge. Yet, there was also a sense of pride, a recognition of the honor that had been bestowed upon them. They had been chosen to protect the Emperor, to stand as guardians of the throne at a moment when the Empire needed them most. It was a role that Sears and his crew did not take lightly, their commitment to their duty evident in the precision with which they executed their mission. As they approached the bunker complex, nestled within the rugged terrain that overlooked the capital, the strategic importance of the location became clear. This was not just a refuge, but a fortress capable of withstanding any assault. Here, the continuity of the Confederation's governance could be assured, a beacon of stability in uncertain times. Upon safely reaching the bunker, the pilots were debriefed by the Emperor's military advisors. The details of the night's defense and the escort mission were meticulously reviewed, their actions analyzed for any lessons that could be gleaned. The role of Sears and his fellow pilots in the ongoing investigation into the attack was highlighted, their first-hand experiences deemed crucial in uncovering the culprits behind the attempt on the Emperor's life. As the debriefing concluded, Sears found himself looking out over the city from the vantage point of the bunker complex. The rising sun cast a golden light over the buildings and streets, the scars of the night's battle visible, but beginning to fade in the day's new light. The weight of responsibility, the pride in his duty, the sorrow for the lost, and the hope for the future intermingled within him, a complex tapestry of emotions that defined the life of a guardian of the throne. The lucky little lad in the gunship fleet, now known as the Guardian's Ascendant, stood ready. Their vigilance was a shield against the darkness, their resolve a testament to the enduring strength of the Drydus Confederation. Sears, gazing out at the city he had helped protect, knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he and his fellow pilots would face them head-on. Guardians not just of the Emperor, but of the Empire itself. Months later, in the dimly lit chamber of the Imperial Justice Hall, a place where the fate of the Drydus Confederation's most formidable adversaries was often sealed, stood Pilot Sears, the embodiment of loyalty and resolve. The hall, with its towering columns and ancient stone, resonated with the weight of history, each echo a reminder of the Empire's enduring strength and the justice it upheld. Before Sears was the final architect of the uprising that had sought to unravel the fabric of the Confederation, to dethrone Emperor Julius Franco himself. The accused was none other than Senator Varus, a figure who had once stood by the Emperor's side, his loyalty seemingly beyond reproach. Yet beneath the facade of devotion, Varus had harbored ambitions that threatened to plunge the Empire into chaos. Sears, whose instincts had long whispered of the senator's duplicity, had played a crucial role in unmasking the betrayal. It was his keen observation, honed through battles fought in the skies, that had led to the unraveling of Varus's schemes. Now, as the pilot stood before the gathered assembly, it was he who would deliver the Empire's retribution. The air was thick with anticipation, the assembled crowd a mixture of military officials, political dignitaries, and citizens who had come to witness the end of a tumultuous chapter in their history. The Emperor, his presence commanding and solemn, nodded to Sears, granting him the honor of enacting justice. Senator Varus, his visage a mask of defiance even in the face of his imminent demise, met Sears's gaze. There was no remorse in the senator's eyes, only the burning embers of thwarted ambition. Sears, however, felt no hatred for the man before him. Instead, he was filled with a sense of duty, a determination to protect the empire he loved from those who would see it fall. With a steadiness that mirrored his actions in the cockpit, Sears approached Varus, the final judgment at hand. The chamber fell into a hushed silence, the moment of reckoning upon them. In executing the sentence, Sears was not just ending the threat posed by Varus, he was putting to rest the shadows of doubt and fear that had loomed over the Confederation. As the deed was done, a sense of closure settled over the assembly. The uprising, with all its chaos and betrayal, was finally quelled, its architects brought to justice by the very empire they had sought to overthrow. Sears, his mission completed, turned to face the Emperor, his actions affirmed by the nod of a ruler who had weathered the storm alongside his people. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Feel free to check out either of the videos linked here as well.